Donald Trump really thought that running from the Epstein files would hide the Epstein files, that if he shut down the government, if Mike Johnson refused to swear in Adelita Grijalva, if he gave us distraction after distraction, somehow we wouldn't pay attention. But what Donald Trump doesn't realize is he can hide all he wants, but it won't stop more public information from being uncovered. Sure, the Epstein files would tell us everything that we need to know, but there's more than just that. There are leaked emails that continue to come out and be reported, and that is just what happened, and it is exploding. The scandal Donald Trump wants none of us talking about. We are going to get into those leaked emails, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into those emails, I want to start with Donald Trump's most shocking pardon of his administration, a pretext for me for Donald Trump pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, and how Mike Johnson responded to the pardoning of George Santos.
About the president's pardon of George Santos, what do you make of that?
The president has the right under the Constitution for pardon and commutation, of course. We believe in redemption. This is a personal belief of mine, and I hope Mr. Santos makes the most of his second chance. I mean,
but how about the fact that the president, in issuing the pardon, or it's clemency, I'm sorry, the clemency, he said at least Santos had the courage, conviction, and intelligence to always vote Republican. I looked through this. There have now, I think we have a list of them, 10 former Republican members of Congress who the president has either pardoned or issued clemency for. 10.
Okay, you want to talk about what Joe Biden did with that power?
No,
he pardoned his own family. The only thing he signed, by the way, with his own pen, everything else is auto pen.
Yeah,
but categories of hardened criminals that they just released from prison. At least President Trump is fully transparent. He goes out and explains his rationale.
Is it okay for him to say that essentially I'm pardoning somebody because they always had the courage?
That's not the reason he pardoned.
Conviction and intelligence to always vote Republican.
That's one snippet of what he said among many things about George Santos.
Now, I wanted to start with this clip not only because it shows the hypocrisy baked into everything that the Republican Party does, but because George Santos pled guilty. There was no mistrial, there wasn't evidence tampering, there was no issue with George Santos besides the crimes that he committed. Donald Trump has no reason to pardon him, to commute his sentence, besides the fact that Santos wants to claim that he was given an arbitrary sentence, that it was not commiserate with the crime that he committed, that he says he committed because he pleaded guilty for him to get 7 years in prison. But George Santos is a criminal. Donald Trump pardoning him is once again his excusing of crime. But it wasn't the only hypocrisy that Mike Johnson was asked about, the only support for crime that Mike Johnson was asked about, because we know that he is refusing to swear in Adelita Grijalva because he does not want the Epstein files released. He was asked about it, and it's important pretext.
When are you going to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva?
As soon as we get back to legislative session, when Chuck Schumer allows us to turn the lights back on.
Why haven't you done it already?
Because this is the way the institution works. I'm following the Pelosi precedent, by the way, when my dear friend from Louisiana, Julia Letlow, was elected to fill the seat of her deceased husband because of COVID. Nancy Pelosi took 25 days to swear her in. By the way,
are you saying? Let me stop you. Are you saying that Nancy Pelosi refused to swear her in earlier?
No, I'm saying that's my very point. Is this is the normal process? Because
my understanding is that was the date that actually the representative-elect Letlow at the time requested. She had obviously her.
Okay, here's some more examples. Okay.
No, but wait a minute. You mentioned the Pelosi precedent, but Pelosi didn't delay that.
Let me give you more than Pelosi precedent. Okay.
And what about the Johnson precedent? Because you swore in 2 Republicans the day after their election.
I'm happy to answer. Pelosi precedent. Pat Ryan, Joe Simplinsky. They were elected during an August recess. So 21 days later, when the House returned to regular legislative session, they were administered the oath. That's what we're doing. We're not in session right now. Rep. Grijalva was elected after the House was out of session. As soon as we return to legislative session, as soon as the Democrats decide to turn the lights back on so we can all get back here, I will administer the oath on the first day.
You could swear her in tomorrow, right?
No.
The only reason Mike Johnson is not swearing in Adelita Grijalva is because she would be the 218th signature on a discharge petition for there to be an up and down vote on the Epstein files. We know this. But what Mike Johnson clearly doesn't know, and it just goes to show how bad whatever is in these files is that Mike Johnson blocking the swearing in of Adelita Grijalva has only led us to talk about this discharge petition even more. It is bringing greater attention to the Epstein files. So think about that. If it's getting so much more attention because Johnson refuses to do this, how much worse is the attention of what will be in the files? Well, we know that. Horrible. Term ending for Donald Trump. It's why it's all he's wanted to do is stop their release. But what he can't stop is new leaked emails showing just why Donald Trump is hiding so much. New Epstein emails reveal how pedo squeezed billionaire for cash. A fresh trove of emails has shed new light on the often rocky relationship between Epstein and one of his long-standing Wall Street benefactors. The messages, reviewed by the New York Times, reportedly reveal how Epstein could often be spiteful, even cruel, towards Leon Black, a multi-billionaire hedge fund manager. Black was ousted as CEO of Apple Global Management in 2021. After it emerged, he continued to pay the late pedophile tens of millions of dollars for financial services for well over a decade after Epstein's abuse of underage girls came to light. I mean, he was with a 17-year-old prostitute, got prosecuted for it, and got put away for a year, Black told Puck magazine last year of Epstein's 2008 conviction. I didn't think it was the end of the world, frankly. Between 2015 and 2016, the emails obtained by the New York Times reportedly show how Epstein mounted a pressure campaign on Black to keep the cash coming, describing the work of Black's other advisors as a really dangerous mess and a waste of money and space. Part of that campaign appears to have been involved directing attacks on Black's family. At least for a few weeks, I am unable to commit much time and make any future plans to guide you in the redoing of your procrastination-produced mess, the late pedophile wrote in one of the November 2016 missive about Black's estate. You have a bomb of colored string that your children have formed. It has to be very carefully unwound. Despite the tenor of the messages, the hedge fund manager kept up payments to Epstein, which the New York Times reports eventually totaled $170 million for a further 2 years, with the late pedophile demanding the lion's share of his costs be met up front. I never want to have any more uncomfortable money moments with you. I find it very distasteful, Epstein wrote in 2015. So to be clear, my terms are as follows. I will only work for the usual $40 million per year. It needs to be paid $25 million upon signing an agreement. On other occasions, Epstein appears to have emphasized that he didn't feel his financial dealings with Black to be the sum of their relationship. Of course, Ari, any non-financial issues, I am always there for you and will continue to be the best friend I can be. This is just more evidence of the pressure campaign that Epstein put on anyone that he had financial ties to, that there was intimidation, that there was extortion, and all I have continued to hear from Democrats on the Oversight Committee is follow the money. And that is largely what is being hidden right now. Sure, there are documents and videos with mentions of Donald Trump, but what is more damaging to Trump isn't what is already on paper, but the testimony that hasn't even come out yet. It is the reason why you see Pam Bondi blocking NBC News from obtaining the names of 2 Epstein associates who were wired hundreds of thousands of dollars by Jeffrey Epstein. Because if they have their names, if NBC can reach out to those people, if journalists can do their jobs, think about how much more we'll uncover. That is what Donald Trump, in my opinion, is worried about more than anything, is not what is already out there, what is already put on paper, but what will continue to come out. Because there has been so much intimidation of Epstein's victims, of his associates, of anyone in this cabal of criminals who are all covering up for each other, that it is very clear that if that ball gets rolling, it will be impossible for Donald Trump to stop it. So we have to continue to follow the money. It is clear that Epstein was intimidating and blackmailing anyone who worked with him. We even saw that from Howard Lutnick talking about the blackmailing from Epstein. People within Donald Trump's own administration, his own cabinet, who Ghislaine Maxwell, as we remember, said there were multiple members of Donald Trump's cabinet who engaged with Jeffrey Epstein. They are aware of this and they are talking about it. Sure, accidentally they let it slip, but it still stands. They understand the blackmail effort. They understand that to know this full story, you have to follow the money. And that is what Jasmine Crockett said right here.
Yeah, so we have not sent separate subpoenas out to financial institutions something that we discussed with some of our members that are on oversight as well as financial services was actually widening the scope of this to the extent that we would then have financial services be the ones to send out subpoenas to Treasury, and kind of starting there. And so the idea is follow the money. As we had a closed door meeting with a number of Epstein survivors, that was one of the things that they told us is like, hey, follow the money. And it is my understanding that if we were to really start to dig there, we would discover that we're not talking about some ring that was going on just here within the United States, but we're talking about millions of dollars, and we're talking about internationally kind of being traded, and we're talking about trafficking women internationally. If you've watched some of the survivors, you notice that some had accents. Many of these women went into different modeling agencies, and they weren't modeling agencies, they were fronts. So there is a lot to kind of unravel, not to mention it was made clear that he was consistently setting up kind of these sham businesses, and he was just running girls through them. That was one of the accounts that we heard, was basically when he did get incarcerated, and I use air quotes for a reason, and he was on work release, he had set up a fake business so that he could go to that fake business on work release, and he was abusing girls there. So there's still just so much that we really need to dig into, and I don't think that there was ever a thorough investigation. And if there was, they absolutely are refusing to give us the information that they have.
Follow the money. We have to follow the money. That is where we will continue to unravel the secrets that Donald Trump so wants protected. I started this video talking about the commutation of George Santos's sentence because these people protect each other. These people look out for each other. Donald Trump called for Netanyahu to be pardoned because these disgusting war criminals who should be tried at The Hague love to be buddies. Donald Trump might pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Donald Trump will do anything it takes to keep people quiet. It is not just about intimidation, but it is also showing if you stick with the dear leader, he will help you out. We need to put pressure on these associates to get everything out. We need to follow the money. We're going to continue to talk about it all on this show, and if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments, and if you want to check out how I got in a posting fight with Donald Trump yesterday, you can check out that video right here. Keep on fighting. Don't let him silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.